Welcome back to Loose Framing Podcast. I'm your host, Birdie Doyle, and I'm joined by
Sam Allen,
our marketing manager.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're on the podcast now.
Thank you.
We have a wonderful episode coming up. We are filming in the midst of the Gasparilla International Film Festival, and we have the team from Hacked, a double entendre of Rage-Fueled Karma, which is a movie that filmed here in Tampa Bay. And you can tell because it has a great bunch of very Tampa shots in it. You can see a lot of iconic landmarks. So who do we have on today, Sam?
We have Katelyn Nacon, and she had a really exciting episode. You know, she's an actress, she's a singer, she's a writer. So there's a lot of really interesting things that she's going to run down for us today.
Yeah, should be good. She also has a background from The Walking Dead. We've had Chandler Riggs on the podcast, so check out his episode as well. He's also in Hacked, so if you haven't seen Hacked or The Walking Dead, check that out. And I say we get right into the interview.
Yes, let's do it.
All right, stick around. Welcome back to Loose Framing. I'm Birdie Doyle, and I have with me an actress named Katelyn Nacon. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Excited.
Awesome. So you're in town for the Gasparilla International Film Festival. How long have you been in Tampa so far?
Not long. It's just been a couple days, but it's been great.
Are you enjoying the heat?
Yes.
I know it's so
I
chilly.
just came from Chicago too, and it was snowing up there, so I'm happy to be here.
I gotta call my brother and make sure he's okay. Well, I figured we could kind of start talking about how you got into acting and into the entertainment industry, and we'll kind of go from there. So what was the first thing that you auditioned for, the first thing that you got, or were you always kind of like, I want to be an actress?
Well, I honestly came out of the womb singing. So that was kind of my main thing. I did a lot of singing when I was a kid, and then eventually my parents were like, well, maybe we should get her into local musical theater and stuff like that. And that's what I did. I did a few plays around Atlanta, and through that I took basically an on-screen acting workshop with John D'Aquino, who Shane Brady, the director of the movie, actually knows very well. And I realized, I was like, oh my God, I love this. This is something just clicked into place, really. And I was 9-10 years old. And I was like, man, maybe I should check this out. And the more I did it, the more I just fell in love with it. And it was something that was meant to happen. And I think I got my first agent when I was 13. And then not long after that, I did a Adult Swim short that went pretty viral called Too Many Cooks. And it actually came out around the time that I had started working on The Walking Dead. But I got The Walking Dead right when I turned 15, so it wasn't long after I got my first agent. It was very lucky.
It's so lucky.
Yeah, it was a great turn of events, basically. Everything lined up exactly how it needed to.
So because you've been so confident in this being a career choice for you and a passion, did you feel a weight off your shoulders, especially as you got to the point where all your friends were trying to pick college majors and trying to figure out what they're supposed to do? Did it feel like, oh, I don't have to worry about any of that. I know exactly what I want to do?
Yeah, it was so interesting because it's such a good point. I've thought about that a lot. Because I'm like, well, what would I have ended up doing if I didn't? You know what I mean? And what would my life look like if I hadn't? But no, it was just always it was always set up that way. And I was also very lucky to have booked something and something so big at such a young age, because it was oh no, this is a possibility for you. It's not just a want and a dream and something you love to do. It is actually practical in a certain way. And so it was always laid out. I didn't have to, college was more just if I wanted to expand my education. And I was going to go there for majoring in business. And that was mainly just to help me understand the business aspect of the industry and financial support for myself, really.
And the good thing is always there.
Yes.
So you can always choose to go.
I can always go back. Well,
It's personalities, I think, react to college differently.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but not the college part of it.
Yes.
Right? So because Walking Dead was so big, but you were so confident in yourself and in this being what you want to do. Did it kind of alleviate some of that pressure of the show being so big? Because you came on season 4, am I wrong?
End of season 5.
End of season 5. So it
was
already was a huge thing.
At that time. Yes, it was huge. Here's the thing. When I was young, I had an acting coach called Eric Lingvall, and he taught us a saying. It was called "Do your best and forget the rest." So it was really just do what you love to do, and that's all you care about. It doesn't matter if you get the job. It doesn't matter what happens from then on out. You just do it because you love to do it. And I mean, that's how I treated The Walking Dead as well. I mean, obviously, when I found out I got the part, did I sob cry for an hour? Yes. I was
what
ecstatic
else can
and
you
thrilled.
do?
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't say I was, it's still intimidating being so young, and like there aren't a lot of kids on the show either.
Sure.
Like everyone was so much older than me, and it was definitely, I was very shy too, so it was definitely a huge new experience. I had never experienced something like that. But luckily, the whole cast and crew, like everyone who was a part of that show, were just so amazing and so welcoming that they never made it feel too big for me to handle.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's so good.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I can't imagine coming on to something so big when you're a teenager, not only because of maybe a lack of experience compared to these much older actors, but oh my God, when I was a teenager, the hormones and the emotions were everywhere. And I can't imagine I can't imagine. So it's good that it was such a welcoming experience. And I wanted to ask about this, but this kind of leads into it naturally. We had Chandler on our podcast last month. And I wanted to ask, was having him, who is kind of what you guys are the same age, like, and having the same kind of experience, was that helpful? Because you have like, not a trauma bond buddy, but like a good bond buddy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was, Chandler and I actually grew up 10 minutes down the road from each other. I found this out after I had booked the part. It was very bizarre. We went to rival high schools. Like our high schools were 5 minutes down the road from each other. And it was great. And I think we both have great parents that kind of, helped us grow up in a similar way with a good head on our shoulders. And it definitely, I think if I was alone, it definitely would have felt a little more intimidating. But a lot of my scenes were with him, you know what I mean? And it was a kid that's literally, I think we're 2 weeks apart in age too. So it was like, you're literally my age. You've experienced this for longer. So like, you can do this. I can watch you. I can do this. Like this. It feels less scary.
It's not so insurmountable because he's there with you.
Someone from where I grew up, my age, is doing the exact same thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
It seemed like it would be so helpful.
Yeah.
So we mentioned Shane Brady. You are here for the Gasparilla International Film Festival. We're filming this in March during the festival, and you're here for Hacked, Hacked, a double entendre of rage-fueled karma. I heard Tyler say it 10 times.
I can never say the second part of it, so I'm glad you did it for me.
These cameras, they're watching me. So can you tell us a little bit about that experience? You had, it seemed like, and correct me if I'm wrong, a huge left turn from Walking Dead energy, which is drama and sci-fi kind of stuff. And this is action, adventure, high energy, high octane.
Yes.
How was the experience and how was it different?
Oh, it's so great. I both I got to work with such amazing people. And I think I couldn't be luckier for that. Both very, very different. There's definitely a lot more room to play in the Hacked world than in Walking Dead.
See that. Yeah.
Walking Dead is much more, it's a huge machine, so everything is very lined out. But it was fantastic. And I've known Shane since I was 13, 12, who knows? Very, very young.
So very comfortable.
Yeah, so I've known him for years, and so it's so easy to, he creates such an environment that is so open to ideas and creativity and fun that like there were days that we just could not stop laughing. And I think there would be scenes that are probably supposed to be, a couple hours that we would just spend all day on because they were so good and everyone was having so much fun making it.
Do you think that's a big benefit from going from a studio production to an independent film?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's a huge difference because at the end of the day, it truly is a huge group of people that are just creating something that they are so excited and love to make. And that feeling never changes. And so maybe it's like you have better catering at one than the other. You know what I mean? But truly it's just a bunch of creatives being there and doing something that they love and like creating such great energy off of that.
Yeah. Did you find it difficult? And I asked the same thing to another couple of teenage actors who are currently teenagers, Colin and Owen.
Yeah.
Did you find it challenging, or did it kind of feel whatever, to play a teenager while you yourself are a teenager, knowing that there's so much growth as a teenager? Does that
you mean on the show?
On the show, I'm sorry, yes, on the show.
I don't know. I think the most challenging part is like, okay, like, because the thing I do whenever I'm facing my role is like, okay, well, how would I be if I was in this character's shoes and like I had lost my parents and I was living in a world where like everything was falling apart? I think that was the hardest part of like, well, as a teenager, how would you react to this world and what's happening around you, and trying to wrap your head around that because it is so far off from our actual reality. I would say that's more difficult than being, because I was a teenager with raging hormones. So like, I think that part was easy. It was easy to be like, well, this is who I am. But it was more just like, God, what would happen if all of this happened as well? You know?
Yeah. So off of that, Hacked, comedy action kind of adventure versus Walking Dead sci-fi. And then side question before we get into it, what genre was Linoleum?
That's such a good question. Oh, and I wish I remembered like from the log line. I think it might have been like comedy sci-fi or a dramedy sci-fi. Such a good film. It definitely does its best to expand from a set genre, if that makes sense. It doesn't like to stay in one place, and you feel that when you're watching the movie as well.
So off of that, do you have a favorite genre that you've explored so far that you're like, oh, if I had to pick one, I would do this every single time?
Oh, I honestly, it's hard to pick because I think one of the best parts about acting is experiencing the full range of human emotion that we don't get to do in our day-to-day lives. Are you kidding me? Like I've never dealt with drug addiction, but I can on the screen. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the main things that's so addictive about it is I can experience so many different aspects of life, and so many, like, you know, like Walking Dead is otherworldly, or like I could be out in outer space, and I could be in the future, I could be in the past. Like, it's experiencing everything is why I love it. So picking one is really hard, but I would probably honestly choose comedy because to laugh all day is a great experience.
I want that.
And it's tricky too. It can be, there's a bit of a rhythm and a pattern that can be tricky sometimes.
Right, the timing.
And it's like a puzzle to try to figure out, and I love puzzles.
Well, maybe horror's next, because I think we were talking about it. We did a ghost tour last night. We're
Great
filming
tour.
This all weirdly out of order, but it was such a good tour. And somebody mentioned to me that comedy and horror kind of had the same challenges because of timing, and that I don't remember who was saying it, but that sometimes you'll find comedy actors are really good at transitioning to horror because they're good with the timing. Is horror maybe something you might want to try in the future now that you've gotten your hands dirty a little bit with the gory kind of nature of Hacked?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've experienced a bit of horror when it comes to Walking Dead. I've auditioned for a bunch. It's very hard. I will say it's much more taxing on the body, especially for like female roles, because the whole movie they're just screaming and crying and running. So I mean, I'd be interested in experiencing any kind of genre. Like I want to be able to do as much and as different kind of work as I can. So obviously I would love to do that. There's some scripts I read though where I go, God, that's gonna be long days.
Yeah, that seems tough.
That's a lot of crying.
When I was watching, I think it's X.
Yeah.
Is it just X or XXX? I think I'm mixing up Xander Cage and Maxine.
I think it's just X. No,
X.
you're good.
That one, I know it was all at night. It's set in one night. But that one, by the time I was like, I hope they got like a year-long vacation after that, because it seems exhausting.
Yeah, there's some like Hereditary.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That one seemed exhausting.
Imagine how
too.
exhausted they lose their. Well, no spoiler alert to anyone who hasn't seen it. They lose their child.
Oh God, I know. Yeah.
Like insane, and then all the horrific stuff that happens. Oh my God, yeah.
Wild. Well, like you had said at the beginning, you started off singing, and I saw that you've released a couple singles in the last 10 years, a few of them. Is that something that's going to come back up?
I haven't written music in a while. I don't know why. I I guess it hasn't been sitting there. I've always used music as like therapy and just a different outlet of expression. And I guess maybe I've just been able to get so much other outlets of expression through acting, if that makes sense. But I have written a lot of new songs. I just haven't figured out what to do with them yet.
Do you think that maybe is something you kind of want to keep to yourself because it's an outlet like
so
that?
Interesting. And I recently went and did karaoke with some friends the other night, and I actually went up and sang. I never do karaoke because it like freaks me out, and I chose a song that was really hard. And I literally was like when I walked away, my knees were buckling. I was shaking so bad, and I don't know why, but singing has always been like extremely personal. Like to this day, if I get up and I'm just singing to people, I get so nervous and such stage fright, which is hysterical because I can cry in front of a bunch of random strangers on any given day, but like singing is
it's your
so
diary
different.
Out loud
Yeah,
kind of thing.
it's so weird. I think it's also a different form of connection, and I feel like also you can tell if someone's a bad singer.
Oh yeah,
acting can be a little more suggestive. You know what I mean?
What's the like line that's like acting is not hard, but acting well is hard?
Yeah.
Well, I recently have been going up to the American Legion for karaoke, which is a bizarre group of people. It's a lot of older veterans.
Oh my God. Wait, I love that though.
Oh my God, yeah. And they do Monday night karaoke, and they do industry night for all the bartenders and the wait staff and everything.
I love that.
And so it starts at midnight. And
oh my God. You can't get me out of the house after 10 p.m. I can't.
And I haven't gone up there once because every time I go there, the group I'm with is like, okay, what's the vibe tonight? And I'm like, the vibe? I can sing one song, maybe.
Yeah.
That I know all the words to and that won't be embarrassing.
Yes.
And I have not been able to get up there, so I can relate.
No, it's so hard. And I used to do karaoke a lot as a kid when I didn't want to. And so like, now that I'm an adult, I'm like, I can never do it. I can't.
I had one friend that had a karaoke birthday party, and I remember being like, don't drop me off here. I was like, I don't know if I could do this.
I love watching my friends do karaoke. Yeah. There's nothing I love more, but like me getting up, it takes a lot. It really does take a lot.
It does. And especially if I didn't know there was a vibe to the night.
Yes.
And everyone's over 60. And I'm like, I don't know. Okay. I don't know any music for these people.
I thought the vibe was just to show up.
I thought we were singing karaoke at 2 a.m. at the American Legion.
Yeah.
So bizarre. Anyway, side note.
No, I love it.
So back to Linoleum, because I wanted to ask you, you worked with some really major names in there.
Yeah.
Michael Ian Black, fan favorite, Jim Gaffigan, and then Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah.
Which I think is arguably like up here compared to, you know, they kind of go like this. What was that like? And were you able to kind of pull a lot of, stuff from them? Were you able to get a lot of stuff from them as far as just like acting?
The casting was, everyone I worked with was phenomenal. And he was also only in the movie for like 10 minutes. And good God, that was just a huge masterclass in acting because he only has 10 minutes of the film and you remember him.
Captivating.
Yes, he just did so much with it. Not too much, but like did it so perfectly. No, the whole cast was wonderful. And there was one scene in particular that I did with Ray Seahorn. And just working off of her was fantastic. Watching everyone work, like it was truly a blessing. And then they were just amazing people.
Oh, I bet.
In general too. It was literally like the definition of summer camp. It was fantastic.
I wonder if Michael Ian Black like specifically has that kind of quality to him because he's Wet Hot American Summer, right?
Yeah.
Michael Ian Black?
Yeah.
He feels like summer camp.
Yeah.
Every time I watch him.
It was fantastic. We were all staying in one hotel because it was during COVID.
Sure.
So it was very locked down, but it was like during Halloween too. So we had Halloween parties. It was fantastic.
That sounds great. Well, what are we kind of seeing for the future? Are you filming anything, coming up soon? Or are you thinking maybe you might make the switch to behind the camera eventually? What do you see for yourself?
I've had script ideas before, but like when it comes to writing, it's a huge learning gap for me. And so I know that would take a lot of time. I don't have a major interest for behind the camera stuff. And my boyfriend, he does. And so I know for sure because I see him do all that and I go, that looks boring to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I just recently shot a guest star spot in Chicago Fire.
Oh, cool.
So that's why I was in Chicago.
There you go.
And then when I get back to LA, I'm shooting an indie movie called Going There. So industry was a bit slow after the strikes and everything, so it's nice to
Sure.
be able to start working
Kinda
again.
get back into it.
Yeah, I'm really excited for them.
So you've been acting a long time, so I have to ask, and the answer, no wrong answers. Have you done your like obligatory SVU or Law and Order guest starring role?
Honestly, I've only auditioned for SVU like a couple times. I think it may only be like twice.
Yeah.
I auditioned for like Grey's Anatomy spots a few times, and I guess the like Chicago Fire one would be like the first like
That kind of that's what made me
you
think
know
of
what I
it.
mean.
Yeah.
I think this is really like the only one I've
Yeah.
done. So it was a lot of fun. It was a blast.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of leads me into our rapid fire questions. We've been
love
doing
it.
this recently, and one of them, and I think we'll start with this one. We asked this last time I did the podcast, was because my answer was Grey's Anatomy, so you made me think of it. If you could, like, what's your favorite show that if you could tomorrow say, I will be on that show?
Severance.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
That's-
I think
that's a
that's
good
one of
one.
I think that's like the best television we've had since like Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. If I would lose my mind. It's exactly the type of show, the type of genre, the storytelling that I would just I would eat up.
Oh yeah, I bet. That's one that I keep hearing about it, and I keep hearing
You-
this is. I'm waiting.
You
Because-
have to. It's so good.
It's one of those where I'm like, what is it, Apple TV or Paramount
Yes,
Plus? Apple
yes.
TV, where I'm like,
I know it's
put
another
it all out, and then I will
it's another
binge it
subscription.
in a week.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Well, and I'm trying to get rid of my Netflix, and so every time I go to
Yeah.
watch TV, I'm like, I'm watching Netflix for the next month, and then I'm getting rid of it.
Yeah.
And then they keep adding stuff, and I'm like, I want to keep my
I wanna
Netflix.
watch that. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's do some rapid fire questions.
I love it.
Who's your favorite actor?
Oh, God. Right now, I mean, it changes all the time. Growing
Sure.
up, I remember they would ask me all the time as a kid, and I would always say Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway,
There
which
you
I think
go. Oh, that was
still
a-
runs true. I mean,
You saw
Meryl
Devil
Streep.
Wears
I think
Prada.
I know it's it's because I watched Devil Wears Prada all the time. That movie's
It's so good.
Stanley Tucci is in it.
Stanley Tucci,
And,
that's another good actor.
Oh my God, Emily Blunt.
Emily
I
Blunt.
honestly, I
kind
keep
of
hitting this
resemble
mic.
her.
Oh my God, thank you. Don't oh my God, flatter me way too much. I
You
think
do like
Emily
mother-daughter.
Blunt is fantastic. Well,
Mhm.
Florence Pugh too. Emily Blunt is just good God, like especially if you've seen Sicario, like
Oh my
she
gosh.
like barely has any lines, and her work in
was
that
good
is
in that
so amazing.
Mhm.
She's so subtle.
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
She's a good one.
Yeah, there's so many talented people out right now. It's really hard to choose.
Oh, I know. And one of the things, I don't know if you've been feeling this, but when I was a kid
Mhm.
and when I was in high school, all of the celebrities and actors and singers were older than me. And
Yes.
now they're all my age
Yeah.
and younger than me. Because I
Isn't
think
that
you and
weird?
Chandler have, I think I have a year on both of you.
I
And I'm
feel-
like, this is so bizarre. Because you
Yeah.
used to be adults and now I'm
No, I
the
know.
adults.
I feel like that when I watch sports, like college
That
football.
was really bad
I
too.
go, all these people are younger than me. I don't like that. That makes me really uncomfortable.
I got the news alert. Bronny James, 17,
Insane.
$1 million deal.
I
And I'm
know,
like,
it's insane.
what? Well, now my younger sisters are older than the athletes.
Yes.
Specifically the athletes.
Yes.
Where I'm like,
yes.
okay, all right.
It's,
all right,
it's odd. Growing up, well, because I feel like you just feel 18. You get to 18 and then that's just it. And you just feel that
Oh, yeah.
for the rest of your life.
Well, it was, and this is like a bizarre connection, but it was when Hamilton was,
Oh,
when they
yeah.
recorded that, and I don't want to say came out, but when they put the
Right.
music out.
On Disney.
Yeah, and then I Googled someone, and they were born in 1990, and I was born in 98, and I was like, that's the same decade I was born.
Yeah.
I'm failing chemistry, and she's making like iconic history on Broadway. That
Yeah.
one was like, okay, I can't think about it too
Yeah.
hard.
Yep.
Okay, well, moving on, because that's going to make me sad. Favorite movie?
Ooh.
If you have
I can't
one.
choose one. Oh my God.
Oh, you know what? Let's do, you
What
know
if-
how they do the letterbox
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah,
four?
yeah.
Can you come up with like two or
Four.
three?
I have thought
Or
about
four.
this because I'm like, God, what would
if they
happen
catch
if I
you one
ever?
day?
Yes. Sound of Music. I watched that all the time
Okay.
as a kid. Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yes.
So
I love
good.
that one.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I mean, there's like, good ones like Inglourious Bastard and stuff like that. But like, honestly, Devil Wears Prada, I watched. That's probably one
Yeah.
of the reasons I became an actress.
There you go.
I ate that movie up, and the
Mhm.
acting in it is phenomenal. So
Yeah.
that's definitely got to be
Sometimes-
on the list.
Sometimes people give you so much about it, so much, shit. I don't know if I should.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
this.
I mean, there's good movies I like, but like, if I'm going to sit down, these are the movies that like any day I would sit down and I would watch them.
Yeah. Well, that's what somebody asked me and I said Scarface and they were like, Scarface? And I was like, you don't enjoy watching Scarface? I can quote it. Well, when I was in college, I did, it was like an independent study. And it was, I had to pick a movie and run through the budget like as if I was making the movie.
Oh, that's
And I
great.
did Scarface. And I was like, oh, now I feel like I made the movie.
Yeah.
And so every time I see it, I'm like.
now you have like a kinship with
I'm
it.
like, we paid him $20,000.
Yes. I love that. I love that.
Okay. Go-to movie theater snack.
Oh, if it's not popcorn, it's going to be Sour Patch Kids.
Sour Patch Kids?
Yeah, it's my favorite candy. I will get that.
That's
and like
one.
a Coke Icy.
A Coke Icy? I was going to say Coke or cherry.
Yes.
Do you remember Coke or Pepsi, the book?
No.
That was like, it was like a poll where it was called Coke or Pepsi. And it was questions like, pink or blue, outside or inside.
And then at the end, does it tell you if you're Coke or Pepsi?
It was one of those like Scholastic Book Fair kind of books.
I get it. Okay.
Where it was just, it made me think of it the other day when I was asking these questions.
That's so funny. I haven't seen that.
Which do you prefer, on set or on location?
Probably just on set. I think the location's great. Like anywhere you can go, you can find beauty in it. But being on set and working with everyone is just the best. It's the people that are great.
And it feels kind of like home once you're there a little bit.
Yeah.
Warm weather or cold weather, since you're coming to us from Tampa, Florida, possibly the warmest place in the world right now.
God. I grew up in Georgia and it gets really humid there as well. So I probably would say warm I'm more able to live in, but cold for the outfits, for the coats.
That's so fair. You can layer better.
Yes.
TV show or feature film? As an actor.
That's hard. I think for job security, it's TV shows for sure. But I would say feature films, especially right now, because I feel like there's a huge influx in TV and like so few really, really great movies coming out.
Yeah.
And some indie movies I've read have been like some of the best stories I've ever heard. So
you can really see it, and I know it's like not a good meter, but when the Oscar nominee list goes from like 50 titles to like 18 or 19, I noticed that that's this year where I was like, did no one make anything this year? Come on.
I mean, Anora, that one,
oh my gosh, swept.
It had a $5 million budget.
I was gonna say, I don't think
which is like itty bitty.
And I don't think something swept like that since like the Lord of the Rings.
No, I know. It's pretty crazy, but that just shows that like we're dying for indie movies. Indie movie makers.
Make more.
Like Shane Brady over here.
Hire Katelyn.
Yeah, please.
How many cooks is too many?
I think when one starts murdering the rest of them, that's probably a good sign you should stop. So probably like 15.
Favorite way that Chandler was tortured in Hacked?
Ooh. I would say probably the drawings on his back. I won't give away what the drawings were, but they were very, very, very well done.
Very intricate.
Yes.
Guilty pleasure movie?
Would Devil Wears Prada? I'll say 13 Going on 30.
That's a good one.
Is one of my faves for sure. But I don't call those guilty pleasure because they're good movies.
Well, how can you feel guilty?
Anytime I rewatch this, anytime I rewatch them, I go, God, these are fantastic. I need to watch these every day. Miss Congeniality is another.
I was just saying yesterday.
Fantastic.
I had that 1 in a million stuck in my head yesterday. And I was like, I think we need to watch that.
It's so good.
If you did karaoke, what would your signature song be?
Dang.
I know, cutting deep.
Well, the one I just did that I was buckling the knees at was Gimme Gimme from Thoroughly Modern Millie. Do you know the song?
Interesting. Well, I thought you were going to say From Mamma Mia.
No,
the ABBA song. But I haven't seen Thoroughly Modern Millie in a minute, I don't think I remember.
It's a toughie.
Yeah.
But if not that, then probably Jolene or the other one. What is it? A Big Black Horse and a Cherry Tree. That one's another good one. Yeah.
I think is her name.
So good.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up. Thank you so much for joining us. I feel like we had a really good conversation about acting and Walking Dead and Hacked. Hacked has already premiered at Gasparilla International Film Festival, so check the copy and we will let you know where you can stream that very soon. That was a really solid episode. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And with that, join us next time on Loose Framing Podcast. And we're back. What did you think of that episode? I thought that was high energy. It was fun. It was conversational.
I loved it.
It was a good one.
Yeah, I love when we're able to have episodes that are really conversational and you get to know people's personalities. So that was a great one. I had some pretty good takeaways on that one.
Yeah? Give us one. What was your big takeaway?
Okay, so one of the things I thought was really interesting that she was talking about is like when she was working on Hacked versus The Walking Dead, how there's more like creative leeway. And it actually kind of reminded me of a podcast episode from The Office, you know, like Office Ladies.
Yeah.
They were saying that, they were saying something about how on that show they were able to put their input to the writers and things like that. And that's not something that actors can do on other shows. And so when she was talking about that ability she had to have a little bit of creative leeway on Hacked, I just thought that must be such an interesting and like gratifying thing to be able to do as an actor, is to, you know, put your contribution into the movie in that way.
Oh, yeah. And I can imagine it's frustrating to be an actor and for someone to say, these are your lines, and you're not a robot. Like, you have your own ideas. You read the script. You're falling into this character and you're kind of creating this character. So I can understand how it would be a little frustrating to be like, oh, I have an idea for that. And it's like, nope, we're sticking with the script. This is a very structured machine like The Walking Dead. So, Hack, she also said she's known Shane for a long time. And I'm guessing Emily by that logic too. So I think it'd be, you know, so much lighter to be with people you know, and it'd be such a welcoming and, you know, easygoing set. What else did you think?
See, I thought it was interesting, and I know that Colin and Owen are coming up later, but something that they touch upon is the whole family aspect and how when you work with a crew like that for a long period of time, it becomes really easy to work with them because it's kind of like a family. And I thought that was something she touched upon too when she was talking about knowing Shane for so long. And she also mentioned that Chandler mentioned that he got on the project because of Katelyn. And so it's another one of those things where you're just like kind of creating your chosen family, but it's a movie set and it's your job. So I don't know. I got a kick out of that. I think that was really interesting.
Yeah, it definitely seems beneficial. And I don't know about them, but I think I would feel so validated to continuously be hired with the same family. It's like, oh, and for these Chandler and Katelyn, this is Katelyn's episode, but with Chandler and Katelyn, they've had such success as, you know, young actors that I feel like it would feel so validating that you can kind of choose what you want to do. And it's not kind of whatever, you know, you can grab. I wanted to ask her, and we didn't get around to it, but I was wondering if, because The Walking Dead was so big, if she had any friends or boyfriends or girlfriends that were so crazy into The Walking Dead that it was almost like, oh my God, stop asking me. I don't want to know. What do you think? Do you think that would bum you out, or do you think that would be like, oh, they want to know?
It's really interesting. I guess it would depend on how much of a super fan they were.
Right.
Yeah. And I think what I really liked also about like talking to Katelyn, listening to you talk about Katelyn, is there is so much more to her than just her time on The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
You know, when she was talking about how she came out of the womb a singer, and I was just like, that's beautiful. And that's like an aspect of her that's specifically for her.
Yeah.
So I sincerely hope she had boyfriends that were able to uncover those gems about her rather than be obsessed with The Walking Dead.
Well, and we've all had a bad boyfriend. I can imagine she's at least gone on a date with someone who was like, so can you tell me about this? Can you tell me about this? Can you tell me about this?
Imagine.
I know, right? I think about that all the time when I watch like Grey's Anatomy. I mean, I never really watched Walking Dead, but Breaking Bad. It was like, if I were on one of those shows, I can name for you right now 10 friends and family that would not stop asking me about that kind of thing. And so it's like, and it's an interesting thought.
That's fair. Also, I have to point out that she mentioned Grey's Anatomy this time.
She did.
And not you. Grey's Anatomy is Birdie's favorite show to mention. And I think that's going to be our new thing. We're going to mention Grey's Anatomy on every episode.
I think we should. It'll be like a little, well, and then we talked about this off camera after, and this is a total side note, that Grey's Anatomy actors, 2 of the actors have a podcast.
Oh.
So I think once GIF is over and everything calms down, I might see if I can't find some contact info, because if we mention Grey's Anatomy enough, maybe they'll come on our podcast. We could do a double podcast. It would have nothing to do with anything Tampa Bay, but I think it'd be fun anyway. Well, I enjoyed her rapid fire questions. I think that's been really fun to hear about. She promoted Hacked a bit, which we're all going to get to see the premiere of on Saturday. We're filming this back in March. So if you check us out on social media, if you check out Hacked movie on social media, you'll be able to find where you can stream Hacked, a double entendre of rage-fueled karma. Sam, to wrap it up, what was your biggest takeaway from Hacked? What was your favorite part?
That's an impossible question because
It was a lot.
there's so many great gems in there. And I also don't want to spoil the movie.
That's so fair.
There's this one scene with Santa Claus though.
It's pretty crazy.
There's this scene with Santa Claus and a spaceship, sort of. And it's the thing that sticks out the most in my mind. And I was just like, this right here. And he may or may not be the Zodiac killer. So that also, I was just like, oh my gosh, this movie like has everything. I definitely recommend you go and see it. But yeah, that's without giving away too much. That's the one I was like, oh. Oh, actually, I just realized one that won't ruin anything.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. So one of the things that they do in the movie is they talk about the villain, like he's a chameleon. That's what they keep calling him, the chameleon. And so they have these sort of talking heads where they're just like, oh, the chameleon kicked my dog, or the chameleon stole my money and did this other thing. And I'm just like, that right there is a gem.
I love that. We were talking about that yesterday at our desk clump, that when you have like a scripted talking heads kind of interview style, I love that. That is so fun. And I have to say, I think my favorite part of Hacked wasn't a scene in particular. It was the overall editing style. It was high energy. It was slightly unique. And combined with the coloring in the movie, it was so cool. Like, I could not get over how bright and energetic the whole movie felt, while the plot is so dark, ultimately. Because it is about torture a little bit.
It is really dark, but I do think it has that sort of like, it is, I don't want to say whimsical, it's not the right word, but it has this element of like hyperbole, you know, where you're just kind of like, clearly no one is actually going to harm another human being.
But
it's this like hugely exaggerated, like I have this internal rage. And so it does feel kind of like someone's daydreaming about doing this. And so it is dark, like 100% it is dark. But I think it did benefit from that, like that high energy hyperbole, because it's not, the violence does not feel like it's actually going to be committed on somebody. So it has a little bit more humor to it.
I see that.
But yeah.
Well, with that, I say we wrap it up. What do you think?
Yes.
All right. Well, check out Hacked, which will be streaming soon. We are filming this right after the premiere, so give us a second to figure out where it'll be streaming and when. But you can absolutely keep an eye out for that. Set your Google alert. Hacked, a double entendre of rage-fueled karma. And Gasparilla International Film Festival just wrapped up. Make sure you mark your calendars for next March, because 2026, it'll be the 19th year. I think it'll be a good one.
Exciting.
Sam, thank you for joining me. Where can you find Loose Framing Podcast for everyone at home that would like to continue to follow us?
You can find Loose Framing Podcast on YouTube, Podbean, and anywhere else podcasts are available. And you can follow us at Film Tampa Bay on Instagram, Facebook, and X.
I also want to add, because we talk about where our podcast is available, it's available on Spotify, but that's not what I want to add. I want to add that we have been keeping up with some really great curated playlists on Spotify. So if you follow Film Tampa Bay on Spotify, we have, soundtracks from movies that were made here. We have a Christmas playlist. I made a romantic Valentine's Day playlist last month. I don't know if you noticed that. I kind of did that. I know, I did that a little bit on the like side adventure side.
I also want someone out there who may like playlists, I want them to know that I hand curated a spooky movie podcast and I put a lot of my heart and soul into it. So if somebody loves that sort of thing, please go and listen to it.
You can see the difference here. Spooky movie playlist, romantic Valentine's Day playlist. All right, with that, join us next time on Loose Framing Podcast. Check out Chandler Riggs' episode from last month and keep an eye out for next month, which is Colin Thompson and Owen Atlas, the other stars of Hacked, a double entendre of rage-fueled karma. Join us next time.